Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm going to call this meeting to order, and please rise for the national anthem and acknowledgement.
We would like to acknowledge
that we are here today
on the traditional territory
of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation.
Nous tenons à reconnaître que
nous sommes sur le territoire traditionnel
des Mississaugas de la
Première Nation de Credit.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. Quand ton bras s'est porté le pays, il s'est porté la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you. One second. Trustee McDonald, were you going to withdraw an item off the agenda, or? Yeah, yes, please. Let me find my. Okay, all delegates. Where's my participant list? There you go. The mic should be on.
So item 9.7.
So 9.7, you would like to withdraw that item?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So trustees, we're going to vote on the new agenda with the removal of 9.7. Do I have Trustee Crocker putting this on the floor? Trustee Lawton, second that? All those in favor of the new approved agenda? Approved. Okay. We get to have a nice special presentation, which I've been looking forward to. At our last regular board meeting, February 11th, the Peel District School Board acknowledged the recognition and celebration of Black History Month during the month of February. As you know, schools across Peel have been busy this month participating in a number of activities that recognize and celebrate the rich heritage, history, culture, and contributions of Black Canadians and Black communities around the world. Here at the board office, as you saw, there's some beautiful displays of artwork in the atrium that you have seen on your way in tonight. If you haven't, please take a chance. Make sure you take a look at the paintings, collages, and drawings created by our own talented Peel students. As I mentioned at our previous meeting, I had the pleasure of visiting students and staff at Artesian Drive to take part in one of the many activities that are taking place at their school and many other schools commemorating the Black History Month. In addition, Director Joshua also visited on February 20th to experience firsthand and take part in the Black History Month activities and learnings and opportunities at Artesian. Together with the media support team, students and staff at Artesian Drive Public School created a special video presentation about the accomplishments of Black Canadians that we're proud to feature for you here tonight. So I present to you Artesian Drive's special drama production entitled If Black People Did Not Exist. I'll cue.
In school one day, I heard them say, "You cannot play, your skin color is black." It hurt me bad, it made me sad, I didn't want to go back. I was so distraught, I collected my thoughts and wrote a list. What if black people did not exist?
Hey, this kid wants to know what it would be like if there were no black people. Could you imagine?
No, not at all.
Man, we could talk about Harriet Tubman and how march led hundreds of enslaved blacks to freedom. Or what about Martin Luther King Jr.? He made his dream a possible reality for us all.
And don't forget about Rosa Parks and Viola Desmond. They showed us that we all deserve better.
Yeah, we can sit where we want to.
Did you know that the Black Panthers were the first to create the breakfast program?
Hey, my friend has one of those at his school.
I love ackee and saltfish, green banana and dumplings. Yum.
What's that?
I know. Those are some traditional foods from the Caribbean islands.
And let's not forget all the amazing inventions that have been made throughout the years. We wouldn't be able to write at school without John Love. He invented the pencil sharpener. And William Purvis, who made the fountain pen. And there's Sarah Boone. She invented the ironing board. Walter Salmond invented the comb. And Lydia O. Newman invented the brush.
Thank goodness for them, otherwise we'd be a big mess.
Well, I know that George C. Salmon invented the clothes dryer. And the lawnmower was invented by John Burr. What about John Standard? He invented the refrigerator. Alice Parker invented the heating furnace. And Frederick Jones invented the air conditioner.
There's even Dr. Daniel Hale Williams, a black doctor who performed the first open heart surgery.
Do you think he's getting it?
Hey, I think we can do a little more convincing.
Okay, what about today? If I want to be a billionaire like Oprah Winfrey and open up a school for girls, I can.
If I want to open up a school in my community like LeBron James did, I can. There's even a school named after Oscar Peterson. He was an amazing Canadian jazz pianist.
Well, talk about Canadians. We could take pride in amazing artists like Julie Black, Deborah Cox, and Keisha Shante.
Don't forget about Kanan.
Cardinal Official.
And Drake.
Even athletes like Lennox Lewis and Andre DeGrasse.
Well, Ray Lewis was actually the first black Canadian to win an Olympic gold medal.
And Curtis Hibbert, he was the first black Canadian gymnast to win 5 world champion gold medals.
So many accomplishments. Hello, even your teacher's great uncle Hugh was the first black man to captain an American vessel. And her uncle John was one of the original Tuskegee Airmen, which were the first black fighter pilots.
Wow! And there are amazing professionals in our own neighborhood.
Yeah, my mom's friend Miss Gregory is an entrepreneur. She opened up her own catering business.
Well, my Uncle Alvin is a police officer.
One of my neighbors is an accountant, and another one of my neighbors works for Joe Fresh.
And thank you, Kathy McDonald, for making it possible to hire more black teachers for kids like me to relate to. Well, I'd like to say thank you to President Obama for paving the way so that I can be Prime Minister one day.
So
Wake up and see the light.
I get it now. We are so smart without black people.
We'd still be in the dark.
Thanks, Lewis Horwood Latimer.
This month we had some amazing role models come to our school. We were so inspired to hear from successful black professionals such as
Kingsley Alexander and Raymond Alubawale.
Natasha Padden, Danielle Musanto,
Brittany Gregory and DJ Rosegold, Jonathan Hood and Mr. Walker. We would also like to pay special recognition to our amazing principal, Miss Walker.
She takes the time to make sure we're okay, not only academically, but personally, and she inspires us to do better.
Thank you.
No more crying, no more crying over me.
Wow, that is great, and I just like to thank everyone, especially the students who did a great job. But I see we have some staff here. Principal Walker is here, as well as Tanya Russell and a few other staff. Please wave from Artesian. Great job inspiring the learning minds in that school. We're so proud of all the activities and learning opportunities taking place in your school and so many other schools that inspire inclusion. Thank you as well to the staff for supporting the students in this great learning of diversity and celebrating our great community. Thank you. So I'll move on to item 2, the declaration of conflict of interest. Do I have any? Seeing none, I'll move on to board minutes for approval. So Trustee McDonald, would you want to put that on the floor? Trustee McDonald, would you put that on the floor? Yes, please. Trustee Davies, would you want to second that? All those in favor of the board minutes passed. Any chair's requests for written questions from trustees? Okay. Trustee McDonald?
Thank you. So the first question is, the UN General Assembly declared 2015 to 2024 the International Decade of Peoples of African Descent. In the solution 68/237, adopted on the 23rd of December 2013, what ways has the Peel District School Board recognized this decade? 2, who holds the Integrity Commissioner accountable when complaints are brought forward? 3A, yeah, that's 2. Then 3A, is the, sorry, it's changed here. So what are the accountability measures instituted by the board to deter, if not prevent, administrators from circumventing a progressive discipline approach? How many psychoeducational consultants and social workers does the board have? How many are Black and how many are from other racialized groups? How many BTAs does the board have? How many are Black and how many are from other racialized groups? How many and what percentage of the kids that currently are allocated a BTA are Black? Yes, thank you.
So as I request all times, your questions be handed over to Donna Bapti, so we can have those put into the queue of work to done. So I think some of those questions you've asked may require longer than a board meeting to attend, and we'll have to take some direction from staff probably to get those answers, and we'll get back to you. Any other questions? I have Trustee Aurora. There you go.
Thank you, and through your chair, this is a question about vaping. So it's a series of questions. Firstly, what are the consequences for a student caught vaping on school grounds? What mechanisms and methodologies do we use to detect students that vape? How many students have been charged for vaping over the past 3 years in Peel schools? What is the effectiveness of our current practices for vape detection and prevention? What is the cost for installing vape detectors in school washrooms? What rehabilitative programs or supports are currently available for substance abusing students? Thank you.
Thank you. Again, some of those questions may take a little bit longer. I think they're 3-year period items, so the administration will get back to you on those response to those questions. Yes, Trustee McDonald?
So sorry, I saw that I missed a question.
Okay.
Because I want the same similar question. How many gifted kids are there in the board?
Sorry, could you bring the mic down so everyone here?
So how many gifted kids are there in the board? And what percentage of them are Black? Because I know based on that after the student data, so we're told that we can gather information. So I had 3 questions with regards to our programming, and also our regional learning choices programs. How many kids are in the programs and how many kids identify as Black, as well as how many kids are in our behavioral programs and how many identify as Black. Thank you.
So I think some of those questions should be directed to SEAC for the gifted numbers, and then IPC should have the other ones around the regional programs. So I think those questions will be directed to that committee. Also, since we don't have the census data completed yet, that's still in the process of being collected and gathered. That data analysis that you're asking for may take a bit of time. So I don't think we'll have that at the next board meeting, just to let you know. That's just an assumption on my part. Certainly the staff will come back and let us know when those questions can be answered. Okay? Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, I will move on to item 5, notices of motion. Do I have any? Yes, Robert Crocker, or Trustee Crocker, please.
Thank you, Chair. I apologize, trustees don't have this in front of them. I will email it to them. We are saving a tree here, though. Whereas the current cuts to public education will disenfranchise and hurt our most vulnerable students, the ones who live in poverty, and those who require special education supports to be successful. And whereas there are too few psychoeducational consultants, speech-language pathologists, social workers, and educational assistants to meet the current demands for assessment and mental health services. And whereas the needs of our students are becoming increasingly more complex and pervasive and require PSSPs to evaluate students' needs, provide support and in-school strategies to assist them, and navigate the myriad community supports available with their families. And whereas access to educational programming that addresses the individualized needs of every student is a human right and requires PSSP and EA help to identify the necessary supports. And finally, whereas it is our moral and ethical obligation to do all we can to provide students with the education and assistance they need to be independent, contributing citizens, be it resolved that the PDSB urge the Minister of Education to continue to fund to at least the 2018-2019 levels the vital services provided by our PSSPs, along with educational resource facilitators, ECEs, and others to ensure the success of all students. Be it further resolved that this notification be shared widely with our partners in education. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, thank you. Trustee McDonald.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. So be it resolved that the Peel District School Board implement for the 2021 academic year a de-streaming pilot. Number 2, be it resolved that the Peel District School Board begin video recordings of all public board meetings. 2, be it resolved that all questions asked during item 4, Chair's request for written questions from the trustees, and item 16, public question period, continue to be recorded in the minutes of the meeting they are asked, along with the actual response given, not the standard the chair responded or administrators responded. And the last one, be it resolved that the Peel District School Board provide a breakdown of the racial makeup of students in the gifted programs. To be included in this report are the top 5 racial identities of the students in the Peel District School Board that participate in the program and the percentage of Black students in the program. Be it further resolved that the Peel District School Board provide a detailed report on which states the racial makeup of students in the vocational programs. To be included in the report are the top 5% racial identities of the students in the Peel District School Board that participate in the program and the percentage of Black students in the program. Be it further resolved that the Peel District School Board provide a detailed report which states the racial makeup of students in regional programs such as IB, IBT, and AP. To be included in the report are the top 5 racial identities of the students in the PDSB that participate in the program and the percentage of Black students in the program. Thank you.
Okay, I forgot to mention that to Trustee Crocker, and I'll do that with Trustee McDonald. Please pass your questions over. Now, Trustee McDonald, you asked written questions were really the same in your motion.
No, they're slightly different.
Slightly different. So couldn't they be included in the motion per se?
For the gifted ones? Okay, sure.
Yeah, the gifted, the regional program, and all that kind of, because you had those questions asked. So I think they answer that question because you were asking the breakup as well as the percentage of Black people in those.
So as long as
things.
the motion passes, though.
Yeah, if the motion passes.
Okay.
And okay, perfect.
Thank you.
And you'll hand those in. So next I have Trustee Sohi.
Thank you, through you, Chair. whereas the last review of the English as a Second Language program was completed in 2013 and students' demographics and needs have since changed, and whereas PDSB and ministry reporting points to an achievement gap between Canadian-born English language learners and foreign-born English language learners, and whereas the board's multi-year strategic plan seeks to provide equity of access to learning opportunities for all students, and whereas families have raised concerns about appropriate assessment to determine opening of ESL profiles for students, proper monitoring of modification and accommodation for ELLs, and consistent communication to parents of all ELL students' success and next steps. Therefore, to be resolved that the administration consider engaging in an ESL program review that takes into consideration concerns raised by the families as well as relevant data about the achievement of ELLs in the Peel District School Board. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'll ask you to hand those over to Donna Baptiste. It's very important to hand that over because it makes it a lot easier than listening to the audio recording when we go to putting our next board meeting together. I have another Trustee Cameron.
Thank you. And through you, Chair, I have handed out a copy of my notice of motion to everyone at the table. It's the yellow single sheet, one-sided, if you'd like to follow along. Whereas it is the board's obligation to provide the Ministry of Education with input about the negative impact on student success due to recent cuts to public education, and whereas the ministry will require 2 mandatory e-learning courses as graduation requirements for the 2020-2021 school year, without as yet providing specific details about the framework or implementation of these courses, and without addressing the concern of equitable access to technology, which students, parents, and teachers have already identified. And whereas for the 2019-2020 school year, the board is spending over $13 million more than the ministry funding to provide supports to our special education students. And whereas for the 2019-2020 school year, the ministry funding cuts resulted in a net reduction of $27.9 million for the Peel District School Board. And whereas through the board's most recent secondary school student census, students expressed challenges with issues of mental health, belonging, access to caring adults in schools, and the role of technology in relation to their overall well-being. Be it resolved that the board write a letter to the Minister of Education with a copy to the Ontario Public School Boards Association, all other school boards, and all of our region's MPPs. 1, to express concerns about the implementation of mandatory e-learning. 2, in support of strengthening this board's funding and to meet the needs of our special education students and our students with autism. And 3, to express concerns about any class size increases. And 4, in support of maintaining the current kindergarten model. Thank you.
Thank you. As I assume you handed to trustees as well as Donna Baptiste.
They have a copy, yes.
Okay, perfect. Do we have any other notices of motion? Seeing none, we'll move on to Section 6, Section for Recognition. We have 2 items, the Peel Lunchroom Supervisors Appreciation Day, as well as an update on the Black History Month. There's only just 3 items there, but there's a lot more activities going on our board. So we're going to take it together. So Trustee DeCroop, would you want to put that on the floor? Thank you. And Trustee Benjamin, do you want to second that? All those in favor? Okay, passed. So we'll now go on to our delegation section. Let me catch up here. I passed it. Oh yeah, there's blue. Paper. Okay, we're at the delegation section. The Peel District School Board creates a connection to the community through our delegation process to bring the issues from the community to attention of the trustees. This is one way information can be shared in many other ways. As chair of a regular board meeting, I'd like to begin each delegation portion of the meeting by reminding everyone of Bylaw G3. I'll be sharing this at each meeting when delegates are on the agenda. So, Bylaw G3, delegations may express opinions with regard to board decisions or make submissions with respect to a recommendation. Delegations are expected to be issue-based and respectful. Delegations must refrain from making statements concerning the character or performance of individual identifiable people, including students, staff, citizens, or trustees of the school board. Any delegate who violates this requirement during their presentation shall be ruled out of order by the chair and may be asked to discontinue their presentation and/or leave the boardroom meeting. Delegates who do not comply with the board's Safe Schools Policy 48 when they are on board property or disobey the chair of the board may be ordered by the chair to discontinue the presentation and/or leave the boardroom or meeting room board premises. Per Bylaw G6, when several delegates wish to delegate the board on the same topic on the same evening, the chair may reduce the time for each presentation to 5 minutes. This will be communicated to the delegates before they present. Finally, G4. After a decision is made to receive the delegation, the secretary of the board or designate shall confirm the date and time of the delegation, shall advise the delegate of the bylaws of the board related to the delegation, and request delegation to present any material written at least 5 business days prior to the meeting. So we happen to listen to your delegation, and when finished, please wait for questions of clarification from the Board of Trustees. So I believe we have our delegate here. Let me just catch up to it. Carol Danica?
Yes.
You have the floor for 10 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair McDonald, Vice Chair Green, Director Joshua, and trustees. Thank you for your time this evening to discuss the important issue of the constitutional rights of Peel residents. I would also like to thank the 3 Peel District School Board educators who wrote letters supporting this delegation, which are attached to my delegation package previously sent to the PDSB. I am here tonight to ask the PDSB to reconsider and overturn all decisions in regards to reintroducing religion into the secular school board that have violated the freedom of and freedom from religion rights of PDSB students and staff, and that force or coerce the aforementioned to participate in religion-based activities against their wishes. Any initiative of the PDSB must be compliant with the Charter of Rights and Freedoms and the Ontario Human Rights Code, and showing preference for only a small group of religions is not respectful of minority religious and creed communities or the non-religious community. It is also not respectful of the rights of Peel taxpayers not to be forced to subsidize religion in the secular school board. Canada's Constitution includes the Constitution Acts of 1867 and 1982. Part 1 of the Constitution Act of 1982 is the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Section 2A of the Charter states that Canadians have freedom of conscience and religion. This means that Canadians have the right to be free to practice one's own religion, as well as to be free from the religions of others being imposed on them. Governments and their taxpayer-funded institutions are supposed to remain secular. The word secular means not having any connection with religion. Yet decisions are increasingly being made by the PDSB to bring religion into the public secular school board and consequently into the lives of children within the board, against the wishes of parents and against the charter. A secular school system protects the rights of all students to be treated as equals, regardless of belief, without any one belief system receiving preference, favor, or promotion over others. However, despite these rights outlined in the Charter, in 2019, the PDSB made a decision to bring religion back into the secular school system through the introduction of religion-based celebration months in the school calendar, with religion-based communications, activities, and programming taking place in the schools. This decision effectively eliminated the secular school system in Peel Region to which all residents of Peel are entitled. The Department of Justice's website states, secularism is closely linked to the notion of state neutrality in respect of religion, which the Supreme Court has articulated as follows. State neutrality is assured when the state neither favors nor hinders any particular religious belief, that is, when it shows respect for all postures towards religion, including that of having no religious beliefs whatsoever. Freedom of conscience and religion should be broadly construed to extend to conscientiously held beliefs, whether grounded in religion or in a secular morality. It may not be the intention of the PDSB to be promoting certain religions, but intention does not always equal effect. Religious celebrations and activities in a public institution like the PDSB can easily be seen as favoritism towards certain belief systems when other belief systems are not acknowledged and celebrated in exactly the same manner and at no less than an identical degree. When a school board shows preferential treatment to children being raised with religion or in only certain religions, it excludes the children who are being raised within other religions, creeds, or in non-religion-based value systems and worldviews, such as secular humanism, or even no system at all. The National Household Survey results from the 2011 Canadian Census show that 1 in approximately every 4 Canadians and 1 in approximately every 7 Mississauga residents is a member of the non-religious community and self-described on the NHS as either atheist, agnostic, humanist, or simply non-religious. The non-religious community is an invisible minority. They are comprised of all races, all ages, and all walks of life. They walk among you every day. They are in this room. They are your neighbors, your coworkers, and the students in your classrooms. They deserve equal rights, recognition, and acknowledgement as any other member of society or any other student in your classrooms. And yet, when you look at any of the PDSB's communications or equity and inclusion initiatives, there is nary a mention of this community or its students. I would like to respectfully ask you tonight to correct the situation and begin acknowledging and including children in the non-religious community in your communications, programming, and initiatives. Every time the religious community is acknowledged in your schools, the non-religious community deserves equal time, equal respect, and equal treatment. If religion is granted more than 50% of time, activities, or programming in the PDSB or its schools, this imbalance can easily be interpreted by students as the PDSB showing a preference for religion over non-religion, which is a violation of the Charter. A good start down the path to equity for the non-religious community would be to include them in your holiday celebrations calendar. I have provided the board with a list of dates important to the secular humanist community, and I would like to take a moment to request that this community be included on this calendar, and that the dates important to them receive the same type of notifications posted to students and parents via email and the PDSB Twitter account that religious holidays on this calendar receive. Though forced religion-based activities in the school board is a charter violation, I would like to point out the inequity in the decision to institute them. There are many other Peel residents that have self-declared religions and creeds in the NHS that were not granted the equal privilege of a religious month of their own by the PDSB. According to Statistics Canada, these self-declared religions are the ones on this slide in red, which I will not list verbally here in the interest of time. No legislation of which I am aware grants the PDSB the right to be the arbiter of which of these religions is legitimate or which is not. Whenever one religion or creed is acknowledged or celebrated by the board or in the schools, each of these religions and creeds deserves equal time and treatment. The Charter prevents either one or a selection of religions from receiving the state's favor over any other. I am curious to know the criteria the PDSB is using to deem certain communities worthy of mention and celebration and others not, and which sections of the Charter and/or the Code the board is relying on to justify their decision to introduce religion-based celebration months into the school calendar and programming of a public secular school system in Ontario, when it has already been determined that religion-based activities in the secular public school system is unconstitutional, because Canadians have the right to be free from religions of others in taxpayer-funded institutions and while receiving taxpayer-funded services. In Ontario in 1985, 3 Sudbury parents, a Muslim, a Jew, and an atheist, won a court decision that determined that prayer in school and non-Christian children being forced to opt out by sitting in the hallway violated the Charter. It was determined it violated Canadians' rights to force children to take part or even be present while other people are engaging in religion-based activities in the public school system. It did not matter that non-Christian students were not forced to participate in the prayer and could request an accommodation to sit out in the hallway. It was still deemed unconstitutional. Please do not misinterpret my position against the PDSB's decision. I am not against equality. I am for equality, passionately. I am not against human rights. I am for human rights, passionately. I stand before you this evening for this very reason, to ask you to treat all religions, creeds, and worldviews equally and not show preference between them. If one is granted a privilege, like dedicated activities in the schools, all religions, creeds, and worldviews self-declared by the residents of Peel Region in the National Household Survey should be granted the equal privilege. When it comes to religion and creed in secular schools, the PDSB also needs to be cognizant of the power they have to influence the minds of young, impressionable children when they are at an age when they are at their most vulnerable to indoctrination. Cara Faith Zweibel, director of the Canadian Civil Liberties Association's Fundamental Freedoms Program, wrote in an article posted on the OHRC's website, which states, even if we are willing to accept that parents can force their views on their children at home or in places of worship, they need to ensure that schools, as public institutions, are not complicit participants in this. Religion and creed are a personal choice. They are opinions. Respectably, opinions very strongly held by many people, but opinions nonetheless. You may not agree personally with the Canadian's choice to keep religion away from his or her children, but they have the right to do it. And the PDSB does not have the right to overrule them, in the same manner as the PDSB does not have the right to overrule a parent's choice to expose his or her children to religion. There is no difference. Both rights are equal, and both rights must be respected to an equal degree. The PDSB has mentioned that they have modeled their religious celebration months after the provincial and federal equivalent. However, if the federal and provincial governments are themselves violating the Charter by choosing between religions and showing clear favoritism for religion over non-religion, it does not excuse the PDSB's choice to join in on the discrimination. Rarely is the excuse, well, they started it, a valid defense for violating people's rights. The following is an excerpt from a page of the CCLA's website. Protecting freedom of religion is an important part of ensuring all people are treated with equal dignity and respect, and continues to say, the state should be neutral and impartial when it comes to matters of deeply held personal beliefs. Religious freedom in Canada means that there are no state-sponsored religions, and that the government cannot prefer some religious beliefs or groups over...
Are you close to wrapping up?
I have one more page.
Sorry?
I have one more page.
No.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, do we have any questions of clarification from trustees? Seeing none, I want to thank you for the presentation. I know you submitted all their notes beforehand to Donna Baptiste, so we appreciate that. I don't think you made any changes in your presentation, so if you have, please forward those to you, and we'll have a response at the next board meeting on, I keep saying May 10th, but March 10th.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so moving on. There's nothing on the old business side of things, so we're going to new business. So we have the proposed school calendar for 2021. So I'd like to put that on the floor. Trustee Cameron, Trustee Sohi, seconded. All those in favor? So done. The next is the amendment of the bylaw. We had the notice at the last board meeting, and now we're voting on it. So Trustee Green, do you going to put that on the floor? And Trustee Andrews, do you second that? Do we have anyone who want to speak to the change? All those in favor? So it passed. So 9.4. Catch up here. So in consulting with various people on this motion, I'm 9.3, did I pass it? Oh, I apologize. Apologize, 9.3. Yes, this is the appointment, as approved at the last board meeting, the creation of a governance committee. And this is now to appoint the 3 trustee members for for appointment on this. And if we have more than 3 trustees, then we go through a voting process. So I'll open the floor to nominations for this committee. So I have Trustee Lawton.
Thank you, Chair MacDonald. Through you, I'd like to nominate Trustee Susan Benjamin.
Susan
Yeah.
Benjamin, do you accept that nomination? Okay, Susan Benjamin. Okay. Okay, next on the list, I have Trustee Cameron.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, I would like to nominate Trustee Carrie Andrews.
Carrie Andrews. Okay, do you accept that nomination? Okay. Next on the list, Trustee Benjamin.
Through you, Chair, I would like to nominate Sue Lawton as the member to this committee.
Okay. Trustee Lawton, do you accept that nomination? Okay. Do we have any more? See no more? Then, sorry, I don't have to vote then. Okay, so see no more, then we have the 3 trustees for that committee, which will be Susan Benjamin, Carrie Andrews, and Sue Lawton, trustees. Thank you. Now we can go to 9.4. So, in consulting with various people on this motion, I'm going to have to rule this out of order, and I'll give the reasons for that. So the government of Ontario has legislated through, yes? Sorry?
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate
What's the point of order?
Yes, I'd like to split the motion if possible, and then you can rule each one. First of all, I think I have the opportunity to read the motion before you rule it out of order?
No, it's not on the floor yet.
Well, I'd like to split the motion, and then you can rule each proposition out of order. Section D43 says when the question under consideration contains 2 or more distinct propositions, any particular proposition upon the request of any trustee, I am a trustee, may be considered and voted upon separately or in any order. And I'd like to split the motion, and then you can have an opportunity to rule each one out of order and explain why.
I appreciate that, and I'm glad about that bylaw, but it's only when the motion has actually been put on the floor and seconded, and it hasn't. So at that point in time, which it hasn't, I have the ruling to call the whole motion out of order, and I will explain why. And you can always appeal as part of the process, but I'll explain why. So the government of Ontario has legislated the police in their jurisdiction to create a police protocol with schools. They have this 72-page document which details in quite depth how that will be accomplished, how and the various jurisdictional and instructional things that have been done in the interaction between the school and police. So this is under the jurisdiction of the police to engage in creating this document, and we cannot dictate them. Sorry, please, audience. We cannot dictate to them how it be done. That being said, the police protocol is now on the Peel website. Under Safe Schools Act, if you look, it's there. And we are also been talking with the police because realize there are 5 partners involved in creating the police protocol. We've been in conversation with this group, and the Peel Regional Police will be reevaluating and revising and looking at this protocol, which is under their jurisdiction. So as a result, your motion cannot be accepted. So if you wish to appeal my declaration of your motion out of order, you can do that. There is no conversation or argument. Please, please.
I would like to appeal your decision.
Okay, audience, you're not supposed to be hanging placards around. Okay, please.
I'd like to appeal the chair's ruling.
So you appeal the chair's ruling? Just put your mic on, so you would like to appeal the chair's ruling?
I'd like to appeal the chair's ruling, and I'd also like to point out a point of order that none of the things that the reason why I asked to split the motion is because there's distinct things that are asked in this motion. I don't know if you had a chance to review it recently, but the only thing that you've talked about is specifically the committee and the local police board protocol. You did not specifically talk about the first be it resolved, which is specifically around administrators and our school staff. So that is why I asked to split the motion, and that is something that is fully within the control of this school board and this board of trustees. So that is something that we should have discussed. So I am asking to appeal your ruling. I'm asking to split the motion. I'm asking.
Okay, so all you can ask for is appeal my ruling.
Fine,
okay.
Appeal your ruling.
Okay. So I will now hand it over to the director who will take over the voting of the appeal.
Thank you, and through the chair, on the appeal to the chair's ruling, all those in favor of the appeal? Of the appeal.
No, of the appeal, no, it's not the appeal. Sorry, it's according to our bylaw.
Yeah, sorry.
Let me just.
Of appealing the.
Yeah, so let me just go.
What do you stand for? What side of history will you stand for?
Please, okay? So we're just going to get the bylaw so we're quite sure in how it works.
For the appeal. Yes, this is all those in favor for the appeal to the chair's ruling. Okay. All those against the appeal to the chair's ruling.
So so the appeal failed, and we'll move on to the next. Please. 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 If you don't stop, I will have to call a recess and then possibly clear the boardroom.
You've already stopped this meeting. You've already stopped this meeting when you decided not to conduct anything for attack. Not doing what you're called to do. Protect the children.
So I will ask one more time to stop. Otherwise, we'll have a recess. And if we don't, then we'll move into private and there'll be no public meeting. Okay, I will have a 5-minute recess. After that, we'll come back. If it doesn't stop, we'll have the boardroom cleared. Thank you. Yeah, for 5 minutes. You want to go to the room? If you wish to go to the room, we can go to the room. Okay, let's go. You ready to go to the room, David, or do you want to go to the room? So, we've had a recess. I'm going to give you this last opportunity to let the board meeting continue in quiet. So, under the Education Act 2.73, the chair has the authority to expel members who are disrupting a meeting. So, there are two options here. Either you can stop. Either you can stop, or I can have you removed from the meeting. Are you going to stop? So the other option left is we can move this meeting in private, and that'll be over. Okay, this is my last call to order. Okay, let's have the meeting progress. So we're going to go on to 9.5. So, okay, I will ask you to leave the meeting. I will ask you to leave the meeting. I'm asking you to leave. I'm asking you to leave now. Thank you then. So, since you will not leave, I will then move the meeting into private. So I'm adjourning the meeting into private session. So be it.
When we had an issue with Woodland in Paris, people tore up the Quran, screamed, carry on. We cleared the boardroom, we waited for things to settle down, we went back in. When predominantly white people were calling and making noise about the flag, we clear our boardroom, we go back in. Black people have made a sound, and suddenly now we are not going back in. And this heavy-handed, how you deal with our community, I will not sanction it. You told me to get the lady to leave the boardroom. I did. The community isn't there. They are not being disruptive. And under bylaw, you have the authority to clear her out, right? And you didn't. You have called police before on people, the board has, to clear people out of the boardroom, right? And I take strong exception now that you want to come and hide in here and we don't want to discuss in public.
So you can appeal my decision to come in here. So I'll hand it over to the director.
Sorry, is the meeting being recorded?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Okay.
So I'll hand it over to the director, and the board will decide if we continue in here or if we go back out there. So again,
and I like the vote recorded.
You can't. It's not a recorded, not an appeal. So.
Oh, not for an appeal?
No. So again,
through you, Chair, we're asking a vote for appeal to the chair's decision to carry on with the meeting in here, an appeal to that decision. All those who are in favor of the appeal to the chair's decision.
What's the appeal?
You're appealing the chair's decision to remain in here.
So therefore, should I put my hand up for it?
so if you put your hand up,
If you put up there, you're in favor of the appeal.
you want to go out.
You want to go out there. If
Okay.
you're putting your hand up, you want to go back out.
Okay.
We have 1, 2,
3.
and all those who are against and would like to remain in here.
I am not going out because the only people who put up their hand is myself, Loco is not here, Balbear, and Robert Crocker. And to me, that is absolutely differential and absolutely almost so inhumanely biased treatment of black community, and I will not stand here because this board does not serve my community. And you can do whatever you want with the motion.
Okay. we'll start at 9:05 again. So 9:05, I'm going to have to rule this motion out of order because it requires arrest data and handcuffing data, which is in the purview of the police and not part of the school board. So I'm going to have to rule this motion out of order. Any objections? Then we move on. Trustee McDonald is not here for 9.6. As a result, we're going to have to defer this to the next meeting where the motion will be considered. 9.7 has been removed from the agenda, so we'll now move on from there. This stuff. Did it. Well, just give me a second, I'll get my notes here. Somewhere. Okay, so we're going to move on to item 10, reports from director and staff. Do you have any reports? No? Okay, we're going to move on to item 11, items for receipt. So as part of our process, we're going to take all the items together, 11.1 to 11.15. So do I have Trustee Crocker to put that on the floor? Trustee Lawton to second that. So does anyone want to speak to any individual items? Okay, all those in favor of receipt? So approved. Okay, item 12, the OPSPA connects 12.1, 12.2. Trustee Green, are you going to put that on the floor? Sure. Trustee Andrews, you're going to second that? All those in favor of receipt? Thank you. So passed. Item 13 is a letter to the Minister of Health and Education from the Chair of Waterloo Region District School Board. Trustee Cameron, do you want to put that on the floor? I will. Trustee Davies, do you want to second that? Absolutely. All those in favor? Okay, item 14, do I have any reports from trustees, representatives on councils? Trustee Green?
Chair, I do get a report, but I'm telling you, I'm very nervous at the moment. I'm shaking. Nothing get me nervous. I'm in fear of my life at the moment, and I feel very intimidated. My whole body is shaking, so I'm gonna, whatever Trustee Andrews can bring forward from the directors meeting, I'll let her do that, but right now, I'm not in the frame of mind to do that because I'm so nervous right now. I'm not trying to tell you, I'm scared.
Quite a privilege. Even though we are in here, do we let the people, the way they're talking and like that? They are on our school board property, so I think they should be out at the
And so is taking care of that.
Okay, thank you.
And I assume if you...
Because I can see people like kind of, it's like a rally and planning out there.
And Director, can you, I think the police should be calling.
We need to call the police because I'm not going up there like that.
Yeah, no.
I'm telling you.
We want to ensure your safety, of course.
teachers. So we have one member of public in here. So is this a private meeting or a public meeting? The public can come in here?
Yeah. But I excluded all the public from the public meeting, which is under my jurisdiction as the chair, when it gets under 207.3. So, back to reports from trustee representatives of council association. Do we have any? Trustee Andrews, do you want to talk about your meeting on the weekend at Osprey? Okay, thank you. We'll go to question period. Sorry, thank you.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. This past weekend, myself and student trustee Nora actually had the opportunity to represent Peelschools at the Asta Acre Conference. We were really fortunate to have gotten the opportunity to speak with other student trustees across Ontario about practices of their board. And I also did have a conversation with Annie Carey, who is the executive director and co-founder of the Peoples for Education. We talked about the future of education and how we should be revamping the learning skills that we do teach and instill upon our students, and how we should be focusing on 21st century learning skills and what exactly that looks like in a 21st century environment. I did also speak with the president of Asta ACO, Sally Meserat. We had a great discussion about the equity practices of our board, and we're enlightened to know that we will be doing a bit more research about equity practices across Ontario. Thank you.
Thank you, I much appreciated that. Any other reports? Okay, we'll move on to questions from board members. Start with you. Questions, Trustee Crocker, Trustee Cameron, Trustee Green, Trustee Lawton, Trustee Davies, Trustee Benjamin, Trustee Sobey, Trustee Andrews. So no questions. There's no further business. There's no public question period. So we're going to go into adoption of meeting committee reports. So Trustee Crocker, do you want to put that forward? Trustee Benjamin, do you want to second that? All those in favor of adoption of committee reports. And then we're going to go for adjournment. So Trustee Cameron, do you want to put that on the floor? Trustee Andrews, do you want to second that? Adjournment. So all those in favor of adjournment? I would recommend staying.